Right, grade 12s, we are going to just revise a little bit of financial maths from grade 11, and then we're going to go on to a new topic in financial maths referred to as annuities. But let's go back to earlier years and let's revise a little bit of financial mathematics that you did. Have a look at this example quickly. We're gonna highlight the most important principles in finance that are going to be used in this matric here. But let's see. Sibongeli deposits 2,000 Rand into a 7-year savings plan, offering her 5% per annum compounded monthly. Okay, then after 4 years, the interest rate changes to 6% per annum compounded quarterly. Calculate how much money she will have saved after 7 years. Now, this is quite a mouthful, so let's analyze. She starts off with 2,000 Rand, and it's a 7-year savings plan, giving her an interest rate of 5% compound interest. You see, it's per year compounded monthly. Okay, now if you remember from grade 11, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here, but let's have a look at for the first 4 years. We say it's going to be for the first 4 years, because after 4 years the interest rate is going to change. So let's see, what is she doing? Let's revise this from early years. Okay, if we draw a little timeline. So here's a timeline, and we're going to go for a period of 4 years. Now, if you remember, we're going to work in yearly periods. That's 1 year. We started when nothing's happened. It's a T0. Then after a year, the money's grown. And then after 2 years, after 3 years, and after 4 years. Okay, now, she puts 2,000 Rand into the bank. Okay, now remember, this is a year. This is 1 year here. Okay, 1 year. Now, the money is going to grow for 4 years. But now remember, if you go back and look here, the interest rate, it's going to be for 7 years, but after 4 years the interest rate changes. So we've got to see what happens in the first 4 years. It's a 5% per annum compounded monthly. Now remember, if you remember from last year, it's 5%. Now what is the interest rate? Firstly, we divide the 5% by 100 to give you that I. Remember, the interest rate is an I. Okay, so you first divide it by 100. That was critical from grade 10 and 11. But now remember, if you think about it, how many months in 1 year? There was 12. So this is a yearly interest rate. Look again. It's per annum, per year, calculated or compounded monthly. So what we do is we have to divide the interest rate by 12. That's because there's 12 months in a year. Okay, so there's your interest rate that we're going to use. Now the money's going to grow for 4 years at compound interest. Now what was the formula? Let's revise that again. Remember, what we did is we said A is equal to the P, which is the 2,000. We grow it. Now remember, how did the formula work? It's A is equal to the principal amount or present 1 plus the interest rate that we now having, the annual interest rate, divided by 12. Now remember, it's a period of 4 years. So it's 4 years multiplied by 12 months. Okay. Which of course gives you 2,000 into 1 plus the interest rate. Remember, we're dividing by 12, and there's 48 months. Okay, now if you work that out in a calculator, you get 2441, and I'm going to keep it as 79071. I'm not going to round off. That is the amount that's accumulated at the end of the first 4 years. So at this stage, we've got the 2441, whatever that decimal was, 79, etc. It goes on. Okay, 071. Okay, so this is the amount. The 2,000 Rand has grown with interest over 4 years, 5% compounded monthly. It grows. This is grade 10 and 11. Okay, now, for the next 3 years, okay, remember it's a 7-year savings period. So now we go for another 3 years to make up the 7. What happened? In the first 4 years, it grows to 2441,79. Now that's great. Remember, It's a 7-year savings plan, and after 4 years, the interest rate changes to 6% quarterly. Okay, so for the first 4 years, we had a 5% compounded monthly interest rate. So what happened is we went along here, and we grew the 2,000 for 4 years. Okay, now look at that. That's great. So now the next 3 years, what happens? Okay, here we go. We've got the 244. Now I'm going to work to maximum accuracy. So I've got my amount here. And this amount is going to grow for another 3 years. And we want to find out how much we've got at the end of this 3-year period. Okay, it's a total of 7 years. But what is the interest rate? They said it's going to be, and this is important here, it's going to be 6%. Now remember, we go 0.06, you divide by 100. Now what is quarterly? How many quarters in a year? There's 4 quarters. That's 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. Every 3 months is a quarter. So we've got to divide by 4. Okay, now we're talking in quarters. How many quarters would there be in 3 years? Well, it's 4 times 3, which is 12. Okay, now let's carry this further. So what do we say? Now the accumulated amount here would be the 2441,79071 into 1 plus 0.06 over 4. There's your formula. Remember, it's 3 years, but we're multiplying by 4 quarters. That's 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll just remove that one there. Okay, and just make it so it's more correct. Okay, there we go. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the T3 is probably a little bit, it's not as wide a gap as that, but you can see it's 4. So when you work this out, we now get, if you think about it, we will have now a total of 2919,45. We round off. So the money's grown. And there we have, that's a grade 11 way of dealing with the financial mathematics. Okay, and remember, you had one payment of 2,000. It grows for 4 years at a monthly interest rate. So we then work it out. Okay, 4 years times 12 gives you 48, which is great. Then we get 2441, which is here. Now we go for another 3 years. So it goes 1, 2, 3 years at a quarterly interest rate, which is important. And then we grow it for 12 quarters, giving us this. So the one amount has grown. Okay, which is great. Now people, I'm going to take this a little bit further. I'm going to start off with a very basic example, but I'm now going to focus on what we call an annuity. Okay, now annuity is very, very different. What happens in an annuity? It basically works like this, and this is going to get more complicated. You start with 1,000 rand. Okay. At the end, okay, so this will be like at the beginning of the month, and then at the end of the month, now if we work in months, not years, if we work in a monthly period, maybe we put another 1,000 rand in at the end of the month. So that might be the beginning of January, the end of January. Then we go the end of February. Then we go the end of March. And this might go on for a whole lot of times. Now, how do we deal with this? How do we find the money that we have if we keep going, you know, at the end, beginning of January, end of February, March, April, May, June, July, and this goes on for 10 years, which is 120 months. How are we going to deal with this? Now, this brings us to what an annuity is. An annuity is very simply is a series of equal payments of 1,000 rand, say, which will go on for regular intervals, and we're saving money for, let's say we go for the whole year. Okay, we go all the way up to there. In other words, we've made one at the beginning, and then we've made another 12. That's 13 payments. How on earth do you work out your accumulated value there? Do we grow each payment? How do we do it? Now, what I want to do is I want to explore what an annuity is, and particularly what we call a future value annuity. A future value annuity. Okay, now we're going to start at the very beginning, and then I'm going to show you a wonderful formula, and we're going to start with our grade 11 knowledge and then develop into a new formula. Now stay with us, because I'm going to look at an example. I'm going to do it over a period of 2 months. We'll look at the first 2 months, talk about it, and show you something amazing. So don't go away, stay with us now. Right, now have a look at this, guys. We're now moving into what we call a future value annuity, but we're going to still do grade 11 work here. Now watch this. Suppose at the beginning of the month, 1,000 rand is deposited into a bank. At the end of the month, so it might be at the beginning of January, 1,000 rand is put in, and then a further 1,000 rand is put in at the end of the month. Okay, at the end of the month, that will be the end of January, and a further 1,000 at the end of February, the next month. The interest rate is 6% compounded monthly. How much will have been saved at the end of the second month? Now, I'm going to do this very slowly. Let's draw a little timeline. Now, you already know how to do this from grade 11. Okay, might be the beginning of January. 1,000 rand is put into the bank. At the end of January, so this is the beginning of January, end of January, we put another 1,000 rand in. And at the end of February, we put another 1,000 rand in. Okay, now the question is, how much will it have been accumulated at that stage? Now we're dealing with 3 payments, so how do we deal with this? Okay, no problem. What I'm going to do, I've also got an interest rate of 6% compounded monthly, so we divide the 6% by 100 and divide by 12. Now remember, this is a month. This is 1 month. And this is 1 month. Now people, look at this. The savings period is 2 months. But we've made 3 payments in that 2 months. 1 at the beginning, 1 at the end of the month of January, and 1 at the end of February. Okay, now how would we do this? Well, very simply, if we take that 1,000 rand, okay, and we're going to actually grow it for a period of a month. Okay, so let's look what happens at T1. If you take T1, the 1,000 rand here, we're going to grow it. Now watch this. For a period of 1 month. Okay, we grow it for a month. But then, okay, let's see what we actually have if we work that out. So if we work that out in a calculator, you've got 1,000, and we go into, just check it with me, plus 1 plus 0.06 over 12, and we then grow it for a period of 1 month. And it comes out at 1,005 rand. So at this stage, that 1,000 rand's grown. It's gained some interest. But then we're adding in this 1,000 rand here, which means that we've now got 2,005 rand. We've actually grown it, which is great. So at this stage, we now have accumulated a total of 2,005 rand. We grew this guy in and then added in that 1,000 there. Okay, now this money at T1 is going to grow for another month, and then we add in another 1,000 rand. So let's see what happens at T2. So at T2, we're going to then take the 2,005 rand, okay, and we grow it again with our grade 11 formula for another month. Okay, and then what do we then do? We then add in the 1,000 rand at T2 there. Look at that. We add in this 1,000. So this money is going to grow, and then we add in that guy. And let's see how much money we will have accumulated. Well, okay, if we work this out in a calculator, we're going to get this. And it's going to come, so it's 2,005 into 1 plus 0.06 over 12 to the 1 month. Add in the third 1,000 rand there, and we land up getting 3015,13 if we round off to 2 decimal decimal places. Okay, so people, this is the long way of doing it. So what did we do? We started off with 1,000. If we just recap that, we started off by we put 1,000 rand in. It grows for a month, and then we add in another 1,000 rand. So at this stage, this amount grew to 1,005 rand. This amount here, it grows to that. Okay, let's just make this look neater. It actually grows to there. We then add in that, which gives us a total of 2,005 rand. And then that guy's going to grow, and then we're going to add in another 1,000 rand. So it grows, and we add in another 1,000 rand. And what happened there? So the 2,005 grows for a month, and we add in that, and we land up getting this. Now this, notice, we paid in 3,000 rand in total, but we've got 15 rand 13 cents interest because of the compounding over 2 months. Okay, now that's 3 payments. Okay, over a 2-month period. Problem is, what on earth are we going to do if there's a lot more payments? So we need to explore another formula.